That was great. So what I saw was phenomenal. So keep it up.
So just redo it. Okay. When I was in middle school, I had a really good friend, and I noticed that after she ate, she would always go to the bathroom. And then she always referred to herself as fat or chubby, and in reality, she was one of the tiniest girls in the class. I never understood it. I thought it was more for attention, but it turned out that she actually had an eating disorder called bulimia. Eating disorders are much more than just bad eating habits. They're actually mental illnesses. And approximately 8 million people in the U.S. suffer from these illnesses. According to ANAD.org, 20% of people suffering from anorexia will prematurely die from complications related to this disorder, including suicide and heart problems. I will be informing you on the dangers of eating disorders, what can cause them, and possible solutions. Eating disorders are more common than we realize and are very harmful to physical health as well as mental health. Anorexia can be defined as an extreme fear of gaining weight, and as a result, people who have anorexia will practice severe dieting, starve themselves, purge, and work out excessively. People who have bulimia partake in purging, excess use of laxatives, and drugs to avoid their weight gain. Anorexia is the third most chronic illness among adolescents, and eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. There are many physical side effects due to these disorders, such as, those are a list of physical things that can happen, and there's actually more. So the biggest ones would be heart disease, neurological problems, so they can actually get strokes and disordered thinking from it. Infertility, and loss of bone mass, and blood problems. In the late stages of anorexia, many organ functions deteriorate, which can lead to death, and many of the deaths that occur due to these disorders are actually from suicide. Doctors cannot pinpoint exactly the cause for eating disorders, but there are definitely many things that contribute to them. One of which would be society and what our society considers beautiful. So, New York Times noted in an article that fashion models weigh 25% less than the average American woman. And as you can see in these pictures, they don't exactly look like the average woman. A quote from the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology says, "Of course mass media contributes to unhealthy beauty ideals, body dissatisfaction, and disordered eating. Haven't you seen the magazine covers in the supermarket lately? No wonder so many girls have body issues and eating disorders." Another cause is genetic factors. Researchers have identified specific chromosomes that may be actually associated with anorexia and bulimia. They have also found that anorexia is 8 times more common in people that have relatives with the disorder. According to the University of Maryland Medical Center, the system releases certain neurotransmitters, which are chemical messengers in the brain that regulate stress, mood, and appetite. Abnormalities in these chemicals that are listed at the second bullet point may play a particularly important role in eating disorders. According to the Daily Times, traumatic life events such as sexual assault or even just transitional events in life such as relationship changes, moving away from home, or loss of a loved one can trigger eating disorder behaviors. Some individuals are more prone to these eating disorders than others, such as people with avoidant personality disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, borderline personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder. Research has found that almost 50% of people with eating disorders meet the criteria for depression. Oftentimes, these individuals have been found to abuse substances, smoke, and perform other self-destructive behaviors. Doctors and psychologists have been working alongside each other to find a cure. Unfortunately, there's not just a simple cure for these disorders. It mainly depends on the individual and how willing they are to actually get help. The treatments that are typically used involve some sort of psychotherapy, which is a psychological approach, the cognitive behavioral therapy, which works on the principle that a pattern of false thinking and belief about one's body can be recognized and then altered, therefore changing the unhealthy response to food. Interpersonal therapy deals with depression and anxiety, which could actually be one of the causes to actually start the disorder in the first place. Family therapy is very important, as support and love from family and friends is crucial for a successful recovery process. Depending on the severity, some people actually may need to be hospitalized so that they can actually get back to a healthy weight. Otherwise, they will continue their behaviors and probably die. So, are these preventable? I mean, you need to look out for signs in your loved ones, like if they're making frequent trips to the bathroom every time they eat, and they avoid eating in front of other people, they're always on a diet or working out excessively, you should probably keep an eye on them. And if you detect an eating disorder early, it's much easier to actually gain full recovery, because the more they do it, the worse it is. Now I'm going to show a short clip from a documentary, and it's a documentary about how hard it is for them to actually recover from these disorders. This is 86.5 pounds. In conclusion, I have covered eating disorders and how dangerous they can be, what the possible causes are, and how to treat them. I hope you all have learned something from my speech. Thank you.